So as promised, Lucille and I are back for another prediction video, and today we're predicting what will happen in Season 8 of The Walking Dead. So, careful for spoilers for the All Out War comic. I'm going to be getting a little bit into it. So if you don't want to hear any possible predictions that I think are probably going to happen, I would read the All Out War comic, and it's broken into two volumes if you get the volumes, and separate comics if you get the actual comics. I know I bought the volumes, and it was volume 1 and 2. Right. So, getting right into it. One of the biggest things going forward into season 8 for me is definitely going to be the whole idea of death. Now, we've seen death take a big theme in season 7. Of course, you had the premiere with Glenn and Abraham and everything. And then you've had little patches of death. The past season finale last night was focused on Sasha's death and her character sort of overcoming that whole experience that she had with Abraham and everything. And then, of course, you had, you had Spencer, who died in the mid-season, and then you had Olivia, who also died in the mid-season. All Out War is definitely going to be no shortage of that. I mean, this is definitely war now. I mean, Negan says it. We're going to war, and that's what we're going to definitely expect. One of the biggest deaths that I'm definitely going to be expecting is Shiva's death, which is kind of hard to say because, she had a great moment coming in there in the season finale, coming in like ripping people apart, Negan's guys, and eating them and everything, which I thought was interesting. It's one of the toughest scenes I ever had to read in the comics. Shiva's death. When she's just surrounded by all these patches of walkers, and then they just tear her apart. Another thing that I think that they're definitely going to move forward into, in the comics, there was a Michonne and Ezekiel romance that sort of went off. And because in the comics it is Michonne who sees through Ezekiel's ruse when they first visit her, but in the show we know it's Carol, so it's obviously going to be a Carol and Ezekiel romance going forward into season 8. And then the other thing is the whole actual span of the All Out War. I'm not sure exactly how long All Out War is going to be. I don't know if All Out War will just be the first half of season 8 or if it will be a long continuous war that goes on for the whole course of the season. Whether or not that is the case or not will be interesting, because following that story is the New Beginning story in the comics, which eventually leads towards the Whisperers. And the Whisperers is a really interesting story because that's another group that pushes Rick's ideals. And I think whether or not they're going to kill Negan, I would doubt it by the end of this war, just because that his character is just such an amazing character. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan does a great job portraying Negan. And I think it would be just a waste to kill him off. So likely what will happen is that Rick's group, and I think this is going to be definitely hitting some new ground for Rick's group, but Rick's group is going to come to that idea that they want to keep Negan alive to sort of let them see how Rick points it out in the comics. It's just like, I'm going to keep you alive and let you see what we become and everything. And just that whole showdown with Rick and Negan is going to be amazing to see come to light in the finale, maybe for even next season. But that's even if they decide to go that route, going into the premiere and then onward, because obviously I don't know how long All Out War will be, but death will definitely play a big theme, more so than maybe the past seasons. Shiva, I think, is a big character death that will probably happen. Besides that, Eric, who we've seen now in a couple more episodes fighting alongside Aaron. Eric would probably be the one that would end up being killed because he did an all-out war. And besides Eric, there are a few others, but depending on how they're going to go about doing all war is the question. But those are the two main ones that I can obviously point out are definitely going to happen. But Negan, I would doubt that they would kill. His character just seems much more of a waste. Consider him a permanent resident of the cast going forward into future seasons. depending on how they're going to do it. And then also depending on how they're going to tell future stories. And also, there's going to be a lot more Dwight in the season also, because we saw how, like, towards the end of the finale last night, we got that whole little toy soldier and everything that Daryl got from Dwight, where it was just like, oh, I didn't know that Sasha had turned and become a zombie and everything like that. So it's kind of like that. But expect more Dwight. Expect more Negan's men fighting, because, you know, like everyone's been saying, this is an all-out war now. I mean, and I would think Oceanside would probably be joining the fight now, because with the scavengers working with Negan, you basically have Negan's saviors and the scavengers on one side, and then on this side you have the Hilltop, the Alexandria Force, the Hilltop Force, and then Oceanside when then, if they finally say yes. It would have been nice to have the scavengers, because then it makes that conflict a lot bigger. But with the addition of Oceanside, they can still overthrow Negan and everything, which I think is going to be an interesting way that the season will play off. But those are my possible theories of how I think Season 8 will go. Once again, are you guys hyped for Season 8 as much as I am? Are you looking forward to it? Do you think that they will actually kill Negan off? I doubt it, but it's possible, but I think it would just be a waste of them to kill him. Do I think Gregory could possibly die? Maybe, but it's all dependent on how they decide to do the actual season going forward, and how they're going to present the premiere to the mid-season to the finale and everything. Because the mid-season was connected to the finale in a way, because how Spencer died was the first part of the final story in March to War, which eventually led to All Out War, which led to Negan saying, okay, now we're at war and everything. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought about Season 7 if you hadn't already seen my review. Our past reviews on Season 7, let me know what your expectations are going forward to Season 8. Is there anything that they did in Season 7 that you don't want them to do again in Season 8? I know everyone complained about it being too slow and everything, but, you know, my whole reasoning for that is that they have to contain those stories so they can save enough story material to go forward into other seasons. Because I think the whole reason that they went so slow through this season, because they were going through two separate comic book arcs. They were going through What Comes After and then March to War. And the reason they stretched out March to War throughout the whole season is that they wanted to make that all-out war conflict last a whole season. But those are two separate stories in itself, and that are split into two parts. So whether or not they're going to have that in its own season, or whether or not they'll break it up, we'll have to see. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought about it. I am Chris. This is Lucille. Check out my other reviews for The Walking Dead. I'm going to probably be doing my next review, if anything, will probably be either maybe Fast and the Furious, or if there's another movie that presents itself in between now and then, I will go and see it. And if not, I may be thinking about doing Fear the Walking Dead, but I'm not 100% sure on it still. But yeah, thank you guys for your support and everything. Lucille also thanks you, without hitting you, of course. And I will see you guys in the next video. Adios.